The small town of Greenwood was not the kind of place where shocking things happened. Life moved slowly there. People opened their shops at the same time every morning. Children rode their bikes through quiet streets, and neighbors greeted each other by name. But one ordinary afternoon, something happened that would leave the entire town speechless. It started with a photograph, a single photograph that no one expected, and when people finally saw it, it changed everything. The discovery, Emma Brooks, worked at the Greenwood Community Library. She loved her job because it was peaceful. Most days were spent organizing books, helping students with research, and occasionally assisting people who came to study local history. One rainy Tuesday afternoon, the library received several old boxers from the town's storage building. The boxers contained photographs, letters, and documents that had been forgotten for decades. Emma's task was simple: sort them, archive them, preserve the town's history. She placed the boxes on a large wooden table and began carefully opening them one by one. Most of the photographs were ordinary: old town festivals, black and white pictures of families standing proudly in front of their homes, school graduation photos. But then, Emma opened the third box. Inside was a stack of photographs wrapped in yellowed paper. She gently unfolded the paper and began looking through them. The first few pictures showed scenes from nearly 40 years ago. Old cars parked near the town square, a parade, children playing baseball. Then she reached the last photograph, and when she saw it, she froze. Her eyes widened. She looked at the picture again to make sure she wasn't imagining it, because standing in the center of the photo was someone everyone in Greenwood knew. The man in the photograph was Mr. Walter Green. Walter Green was the oldest resident in Greenwood. At 87 years old, he was known as the quiet man who ran the town's small hardware store. Everyone respected him. Children waved to him as they walked past his shop. Adults trusted him for advice. He had lived in Greenwood for decades, but the photograph showed something unexpected. It wasn't just Walter Green in the picture. He was standing beside a group of firefighters, and behind them, a burning building. Emma looked closer. The firefighters in the image looked serious and exhausted, and Walter, much younger in the photograph, was covered in soot, his clothes dirty, his face determined. He wasn't just standing there. He was carrying a small child in his arms. Emma felt her heart begin to race. She turned the photograph over. Written in faded ink were the words, "The Greenwood Fire -1983, the man who saved them." Emma sat down slowly. She had lived in Greenwood her entire life. She had heard many stories about the town, but she had never heard about any fire in 1983. And no one had ever said that Walter Green had saved anyone. The mystery that evening, Emma decided to visit Walter's hardware store. The bell above the door rang softly as she stepped inside. Walter stood behind the counter, organizing small boxes of nails. "Good evening, Emma," he said with a gentle smile. Emma hesitated for a moment before speaking. "Mr. Green, I found something today at the library." She placed the photograph on the counter. Walter looked down at it, and for the first time, Emma saw something unusual in his expression. Surprise, then quiet sadness. He stared at the photograph for several seconds. Finally, he sighed softly. "I wondered when that picture would appear again," he said. Emma leaned forward. "What happened that day?" Walter remained silent for a moment. Then he began telling a story that no one in Greenwood had ever heard. The night of the fire, it was the summer of 1983. Walter was only 25 years old then. He had just opened his hardware store and was trying to build a life in Greenwood. One night, while closing his shop, he saw smoke rising from the old apartment building near the town square. At first he thought it was just someone burning trash, but then he saw flames in one of the windows. The building was on fire. Walter ran toward it immediately. People were shouting. Smoke filled the street. Several families were trapped inside. The firefighters were still minutes away. Walter didn't hesitate. He ran into the burning building. The smoke made it hard to see. The heat was intense, but he could hear children crying upstairs. He climbed the stairs, covering his mouth with his shirt. One by one, he found the children and carried them outside. And then he ran back in again and again. By the time the firefighters arrived, Walter had rescued 6 people, but he collapsed from smoke inhalation shortly after. The town was grateful. But Walter made one request. "Don't make a big story about it," he told him. "Those families have been through enough." And slowly, over time, the story faded. People moved away. Records were lost. And the town forgot. The photo that shocked everyone, Emma listened in silence. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. "You saved 6 people," she said quietly. Walter shrugged. "I just did what anyone would do." But Emma knew that wasn't true. Most people would have waited for firefighters. Most people would have been too afraid. Walter had risked his life without hesitation. The next week, Emma decided to display the photograph at the library. She placed it in a frame with a short description of the event. At first, visitors stopped and stared. Then they began asking questions. Soon the entire town heard the story. People were shocked. For decades, the quiet man who sold tools and nails had been a hidden hero. The mayor eventually organized a small ceremony in the town square. When Walter arrived, he looked confused to see hundreds of people gathered. The mayor stepped forward and held up the photograph. "This picture reminded us of something we should never forget," he said. "A man in this town risked his life to save others and asked for nothing in return." The crowd erupted in applause. Walter stood quietly, embarrassed by the attention. But the people of Greenwood knew something important now. Sometimes the greatest heroes live ordinary lives. They run small shops. They greet neighbors politely. They never ask for recognition. And sometimes, it only takes one forgotten photograph to reveal the incredible story behind them. Because the photo that shocked everyone didn't just show a moment in history. It showed the true character of a man who had spent his life quietly doing what was right.